So let's start with chapter 2. Inside the mind. Inside the mindsets. Inside the mindsets. Chapter 2. When I was a young woman, I wanted a prince like me. Very handsome, very successful, a big cheese. I wanted a glamorous career, but nothing too hard or risky. And I wanted it all to come to me as validation of who I was. It would be many years before I wish I was satisfied. I got a great guy, but he has a work in progress. I have a great career, but boy, is it a constant challenge? Nothing was easy, so why am I satisfied? I changed my mindset. I changed it because of my work. One day, my doctoral student, Mary Pandura, and I were trying to understand why some students were so caught up in proving their ability while others could just let go and learn. Suddenly, we realized that there were two meanings to ability, not one, a fixed ability that needs to be proven, and a changeable ability that can be developed through learning. That's how the mindsets were born. I knew instantly which one I had. I realized why I would always been so concerned about mistakes and failures. And I recognized for the first time that I had a choice. When you enter a mindset, you enter a new world. In one world, the world of fixed traits, success is about proving you are smart or talented, validating yourself. In the other, the world of changing qualities, it's about stretching yourself to learn something new, developing yourself. In one world, failure is about having a setback, getting a bad grade, losing a tournament, getting fired, getting rejected. It means you are not smart or talented. In other world, failure is about not growing, not reaching for the things you value. It means you are not fulfilling your potential. In one world, effort is a bad thing. It like failure means you are not so smart or talented. If you were, you would not need effort. In the another world, effort is what makes you smart or talented. You have a choice. Mindsets are just beliefs. They are, they are powerful beliefs, but they are just something in your mind and you can change your mind. As you read, think about where you would like to go and which mindset will take you there. It's success about learning or proving you are smart. Benjamin Barber, an eminent sociologist, once said, I don't divide the world into the weak and the strong, or the successes and the failures. I divide the world into the learners and non learners. What on earth would make someone a non learner? Everyone is born with an intense drive to learn. In fact, stretch their skill daily, not just ordinary skill, but the most difficult task of a lifetime, like learning to walk and talk. They never decide it's too hard or not worth the effort. Babies don't worry about making mistakes or humiliating themselves. They walk, they fall, they get up, they just pass forward. What could put an end to the exuberant learning? The fixed mindset. As soon as children become able to evaluate themselves, some of them become afraid of challenges. They become afraid of not being smart. I have studied thousands of people from preschoolers on, and it's Breath, breathtaking how many reject an opportunity to learn. We offered 4-year-olds a choice. They could redo an essay, jigsaw puzzle, or they could try a harder one. Even at this tender age, children with the fixed mindset, the one who believed in fixed traits, stuck with the safe one. Kids who are not born smart don't do mistakes. They told us. Children with the growth mindset, the ones who believed you could get smarter, though it was a strange choice. Why are you asking me this, lady? Why would anyone want to keep doing the same puzzles over and over? They choose one hard, one after another. I am trying to figure them out, exclaimed one little girl. So, children with the fixed mindset want to make sure they succeed. Smart people should always succeed. But for children with the growth mindset, success is about stretching themselves. It's not about becoming smarter. One seventh grade girl summed it up. I think intelligence is something you have to work for. Is is not. It is not just given to you. Most kids, if they are not sure of an answer, will not raise their hand to answer the question. But what I usually do is raise my hand because if I am wrong, then my mistake will be corrected. Or I will raise my hand and say, how would this be solved? Or I don't get this, can you help me? Just by doing that, I am increasing my intelligence. Beyond puzzle, it is one thing to pass up a puzzle, it is another to pass up an opportunity that's important to your future. To see if you would happen, we took advantage of an unusual situation. At the University of Hong Kong, everything is in English. Classes are in English, textbooks are in English, and exams are in English. But some students who enter the university are not fluent in English, so it would make sense for them to do something about it in a hurry. As students arrived to register for their freshman year, we knew which ones were not skilled in English, and we used them a key question. If the faculty offered a course for students who need to improve their English skills, would you take it? We also measured their mindset. We did this by asking them how much they agreed with a statement like this. You have a certain amount of intelligence and you can not really do much to change it. People who agree with this kind of a statement have a fixed mindset. Those who have a growth mindset agree that you can actually substantially change how intelligent you are. Later, we looked at who said yes to the English course. Students with a growth mindset said an emphatic yes, but those with a fixed mindset were not very interested, believing that success is about learning. A student with a growth mindset sees the chance, but those with a mindset did not want to expose their deficiencies. Instead, to feel smart in the short run, they were willing to put their college career at risk. This is how the fixed mindset makes people into non learners. Brain waves tell the story. You can even see the differences in people's brain waves. People with both mindsets came into our brain wave lab at Columbia. As they answered hard questions and got feedback, we were curious about when their brain's waves would show them to be interested and attentive. People with a fixed mindset were only interested when the feedback reflected on their ability. Their brainwaves showed them paying close attention when they were told whether their answer were right or wrong. But when they were presented with information that could help them learn, there was no sign of interest. Even they would gotten an answer wrong. They were not interested in learning. What the right answer, ma'am? Only few people with a growth mindset paid close attention to information that could stretch their knowledge. Only for them was learning a priority. What is your priority? If you had to choose, which would it be? Loads of success and validation or loads of challenge? It's not just on intellectual task that people have to make the choice. People also have to decide what kinds of relationships they want. Ones that bolster their egos or ones that challenge them to grow. Who is your ideal mate? We put this question to young adults, and here is what they told us. People with a fixed mindset said the ideal mate would be put them on a pedestal, make them feel perfect, worship them. In other words, the perfect mate would enshrine their fixed qualities. My husband says that he used to feel this way. What he wanted to be the god of a one person, his partner's religion. Fortunately, he chucked this idea before he met him. People with the growth mindset hope for a different kind of partner. They said their ideal mate was someone who would see their faults and help them to work on them, challenge them to become a better person, encourage them to learn new things. Certainly, they did not want people who would pick on them or undermine their self-esteem, but they did want people who would foster their development. They did not assume they were fully evolved, flawless being who had nothing more to learn. Are you already thinking, oh, what if two people with different mindsets get together? A growth mindset woman tells about her marriage to a fixed mindset man. I had barely gotten all the rice out of my hair when I began to realize I made a big mistake. Every time I said something like, why don't we try to go out a little more? Or I would like it if you consulted me before making decisions. He was devastated. Then, instead of taking about the issue I raised, I would have to spend literally an hour repairing the damage and making him feel good again. Plus, he would then run to the phone to call his mother, who always soared him with the constant adoration he seemed to need. We were both young and new at marriage. I just wanted to communicate. So, the husband's idea of successful relationship, total and critical acceptance, was not the wife's. And the wife's idea of a successful relationship, confront, confronting problems, was not the husband's. One person's growth was the other person's nightmare. CEO disease. Speaking of resigning from a top a pedestal and wanting to be seen as perfect, you won't be surprised that this is often called CEO disease. Lee Iacocca had a bad case of it. After his initial success as head of Chrysler Motors, Iacocca looked remarkably like our like our 4 years olds with a fixed mindset. He kept bringing out the same car models over and over with only superficial changes. Unfortunately, they were models no one wanted anymore. Meanwhile, Japanese companies were completely rethinking what cars should look like and how they should run. We know how this turned out. The Japanese cars rapidly swept the market. CEO face this choice all the time. Should they confront their shortcomings or should they create a world where they have none? Lee Iacocca chose the latter. He surrounded himself with worshippers, exiled the critics, and quickly lost touch with where his field was going. Lee Iacocca had become a known learner, but not everyone catches CEO disease. Many great leaders confront their shortcomings on a regular basis. Troy Smith, looking back on his extraordinary performance at Kimberly-Clark, declared, "I have never stopped trying to be qualified for the job." This man, like the Hong Kong students with the growth mindset, never stopped talking the remedial course. CEOs face another dilemma. They can choose short-term strategies that boost the company's stock and make themselves look like heroes, or they can work for long-term improvement, rising Wall Street approvals as they lay the foundation for the health and growth of the company over the longer haul. Albert Dunlap, a self-professed fixed mindsetter, was brought in to turn around Sunbeam. He chose the short-term strategy of looking like a hero to Wall Street. The stock soared, but the company fell apart. Low, Gerstner and Awok growth mindset was called in to turn around IBM as it sets about the enormous task of overhauling IBM culture and policies. Stock prices were stagnant and Wall Street sneered. They called him a failure. A few years later, however, IBM was leading its file chain, stretching. People in a growth mindset does not seek challenge; they thrive on it. The bigger the challenge, the more they stretch. And nowhere can it be seen more clearly than in the world of sports. You can just watch people stretch and grow. Mia Hamm, the greatest female soccer star of our time, says it straight out. All my life I have been playing up, meaning I have challenged myself with players older, bigger, more skillful, more experienced, in short, better than me. First, she played with her older brother, then at 10, she joined the 11-year-old boys team. Then she threw herself into the number one college team in the United States. Each day I attempted to play up to their level. I was improving faster than I ever dreamed possible. Victoria Miranda was a chubby, an athlete high school kid who wanted to wrestle. After bad beating on the mat, she was told, "You are a joke." First she cried, then she failed. That really set my resolve. I had to keep going and how had to know if effort and focus and belief and training could someone legitimate me as a wrestler. Where did she get resolve? Miranda was raised in a life devoid of challenge. But when her mother died of an aneurysm at age 40, 10-year-old Miranda came up with a principle. When you are lying on your deathbed, one of the cool things to say is, "I really explored myself." This sense of urgency was instilled when my mom died. A few only go through life doing stuff that's easy. Same on you. So when wrestling presented a challenge, she was ready to take it on. Her effort paid off. At 24, Miranda was having the last laugh. She won the sport for her weight group on the US Olympic team and come home from athletes with a bronze medal. And what was next? Yellow School. People urged her to stay where she was already on top, but Miranda felt it was more exciting to start at the bottom again and see what she could grow into this time, stretching beyond the possible. Sometimes people with the growth mindset stretch themselves so far that they do the impossible. In 1995, Christopher Reeve, the actor, was thrown from a horse. His neck was broken, his spinal cord was severed from his brain, and he was completely paralyzed below the neck. Medical science said, "So sorry, came to terms with it." Reeve, however, started a demanding exercise program that involved moving all parts of his paralyzed body with the help of electrical stimulation. Why could not he learn to move again? Why could not his brains one again give commands that his body obey? Doctors warned that he was in denial and was setting himself up for disappointment. Disappointment. They had seen this before and it was a bad sign for his adjustment. But really, what else was Reeve doing with his time? Was there a better project? 5 years later, Reeve started to regain movement. First, it happened in his hands, then his arms, then legs, and then torso. He was far from cured, but brain scans showed that his brain was once more sending signal to his body that the body was responding to. Not only did Reeve stretch his abilities, he changed the entire way science thinks about the nervous system and its potential for recovery. In doing so, he opened a whole new vista for research and a whole new avenue of hope for people with spinal cord injuries. Thriving on the short things. Clearly, people with a growth mindset thrive when they are stretching themselves. When do people with a fixed mindset thrive? When things are safely within their grasp. If things get too challenging, when they are not feeling smart or talented, they lose interest. I watched it happen as we followed pre-med students through their first semester of chemistry. For many students, this is what their lives had led up to becoming a doctor, and this is a course that decides who get to be one. It's one heck of a hard course too. The average grade on each exam is C plus for students who have rarely seen anything less than an A. Most students started out pretty interested in the chemistry, yet over the semester something happened. Students with the fixed mindset stayed interested only when they did well right away. Those who found it difficult showed a big drop in their interest and enjoyment. If it was not a testimony to their intelligence, they could not enjoy it. The harder it gets, reported one student, the more I have to force myself to read the book and study for the test. I was excited about chemistry before, but now every time I think about it, I get a bad feeling in my stomach. In contrast, students with the growth mindset continue to show the same high level of interest even when they found the work very challenging. It's lot more difficult for me than I thought it would be. but it's what I want to do, so that only makes me more determined. When they tell me I can't, it really gets me going. Challenges and interest went hand in hand. We saw the same thing in younger students. We gave fifth graders intriguing puzzles, which they all loved. But when we made them harder, children with the fixed mindset saw a big palangu in enjoyment. They also changed their minds about talking some how to practice. It's okay, you can keep them. I already have them. Fifth, one child. In fact, they could not run from them fast enough. They were just as true for children who were the best puzzle solvers. Having puzzle talented Having puzzle talent did not prevent the decline. Children with the growth mindset, on the other hand, could not tear themselves away from the hard problems. These were their favorite and these were the ones they wanted to take home. Could you write down the name of these puzzles? One child asked. So my mom can buy me some more when these ones run out. Not long ago, I was interested to read about Marina Shemoyonova, a great Russian dancer and teacher who devised a novel way of selecting her students. It was a clever test for mindset. As a former student tells it, her students first have to survive a trial period while she watches to see how you react to parries and do corrections. Those more responsive to the corrections are deemed worthy. In other words, she separates the ones who get their thrill from what's easy, what they had been already mastered, from those who get their thrill from what's hard. I will never forget the first time I heard myself say, "This is hard. This is fun." That's the moment I knew I was changing mindset. When do you feel smart? When you are flawless or when you are learning? The plot is about to for in the fixed mindset. It's not enough just to succeed. It's not just enough just to look smart and talented. You have to be pretty much flawless, and you have to be flawless right away. We asked people ranging from grade school schoolers to young adults, when do you feel smart? The differences were striking. People with a fixed mindset said, it's when I don't make any mistake, when I finish something fast and it's perfect, when something is easy for me, but other people can't do it. It is about being perfectly right now. But people with the growth mindset said, when it's really hard and I try really hard and I can do something I could not do before, or when I work on something a long time and I start to figure it out. For them, it's not about immediate perfections. It's about learning something over time, confronting a challenge and making progress. If you have ability, why should you need learning? Actually, people with a fixed mindset expect ability to show up on its own before any learning takes place. After all, if you have it, you have it, and if you don't, don't. I see this all the time. Uh, Out of all the applications from all over the world, my department at Columbia admitted six new graduate students a year. They all had amazing test scores, nearly perfect grades, and rave recommendations from eminent scholars. Moreover, they had been courted by the top grade schools. It took one day for some of them to feel like complete imposters. Yesterday they were hosts. Today they are failures. Here is what happens. They look at the faculty with our long list of publications. Oh my god, I can't do that. They look at the advanced students who are submitting articles for publications and writing grant proposals. Oh my god, I can't do that. They know how to take tests and get A's, but they don't know how to do this yet. They forget the yet. Is it not that what school is for? To teach. They are there to learn how to do these things, not because they already know everything. I wonder if this is what happened to Janet Cookie and Stephen Glass. They were both young reporters who skyrocketed to the top on fabricated articles. Janet Cookie won a Pulitzer Prize for her Washington Post article about an 8-year-old boy who was a drug addict. The boy did not exist, and she was later stripped of her prize. Stephen Glass was the rich kid of the New Republic who seemed to have stories and sources reported only dream of. The sources did not exist and the stories were not true. Did Janice Cookie and Stephen Glass need to be perfect right away? Did they feel that admitting ignorance would discredit them with their colleagues? Did they feel they should already be like the big time reporter before they did the hard work of learning how? We were a star. We were stars, precious stars, wrote Stephen Glass, and that was what matters. The public understand them as cheats, and the cheat they did, but I understand them as talent, young people, desperate young people who succumbed to the pressures of the fixed mindset. There was a saying in the 196 that went, becoming is better than being. The fixed mindset does not allow people the luxury of becoming. They have all they have to already be. A test score is forever. Let's take a closer look at why. In the fixed mindset, it is so crucial to be perfect right now. It's because one test or one evaluation can measure you forever. 20 years ago, at the age of 5, Loretta and her family come to the United States. A few days later, her mother, took her to her new school where they promptly gave her a test. The next thing she knew, she was in her kindergarten class. But it was not the Eagles, the elite kindergarten class. As time passed, however, Loretta was transferred to the Eagles and she remained with the group of students until the end of high school, garnering a bundle of academic prizes along the way, yet she never felt she belonged. That first test, she was convinced, diagnosed her fixed ability and said that she was not a true eagle. Never mind that she had been 5 years old and had just made a radical change to a new country, or that maybe there had not have been room in the Eagles for a while, or that maybe the school decided she would have an easier transition in more low-key class. There are so many ways to understand what happened, and what it meant. Unfortunately, she chose the wrong one. For in the world of the fixed mindset, there is no way to become an eagle. If you were a true eagle, you would have aced the test and been hailed as eagle at once. Is Loretta a rare case, or is this kind of thinking more common than we realize? find out. To find out, we showed fifth grades a closed cardboard box and told them it had a test inside. This test, we said, measured an important school ability. We told them nothing more. Then we asked them questions about the test. First, we wanted to make sure that they would accepted our descriptions. So we asked them, how much do you think this test measures an important school ability? All of them had taken our word for it. Next, we asked, do you think this test measures how smart you are? And do you think this test measures how smart you will be when you grow up? Students with the growth mindset had taken our word that the test measures an important ability, but they did not think it measured how smart they were, and they certainly did not think it would tell them how smart they would be when they grow up. In fact, one of them told us, "No way, and no test can do that." But the students with a fixed mindset did not simply believe the test could measure an important ability. They also believed just as strongly that it could measure how smart they were and how smart they would be when they grow up. They granted one test the power to measure their most basic intelligence now and forever. They gave this test power to define them. That's why every success is so important. Another look at potential. This leads us to back the idea of potential and to the question of whether tests or experts can tell us what our potential is, what we are capable of, what our future will be. The fixed mindset says yes, you can simply measure the fixed ability right now and project it into the future. Just keep the test or ask the expert. No crystal ball needed. So, common is the belief that potential can be known right now, that Joseph P. Kennedy felt confident in telling Morton Downey Jr. that he would be a failure. What had Downey, later a famous television personality and author, done? What he had worn red socks and brown shoes to the stock club. Morton Kennedy told him, I don't know anybody I have ever met in my life wearing red socks and brown shoes who ever succeed. Young man, tell me, you know, you do stand out, but you don't stand out in a way what people who in a way that people will ever admire you. Many of the most accomplished people of our era were considered by experts to have no future. Jackson Pollock, Marcel Proust, Elvis Presley, Ray Charles, Lucille Ball, and Charles Darwin were all thought to have little potential for their chosen field, and in some of these cases it may well have been true that they did not stand out from the crowd early on, but it is not potential. Someone can still develop their skill with effort over time, and that's just the point. How can we know where effort and time will take someone? Who knows? Maybe the experts were right about Jackson's, Marcel, Elvis, Riley, Lucy, and Charles in terms of their skill at the time. Maybe they were not yet the people they were to become. I once went to an exhibit in London of Paul Cézanne early painting. On my way there, I wondered who Cézanne was and what his paintings were like before he was the painter we know today. I was intensely curious because Cézanne is one of my favorite artists and the man who set the stage for much of modern art. Here's what I found. Some of the paintings were pretty bad. They were overwrought scenes, some violent with amateur nails painted people. Although there were some paintings that foreshadowed the later Kizane Mani did not. Was the Eric Kizane did not talented? Or did it just take time for Cezanne to become Cezanne? People with the growth mindset know that it takes time for potential to flower. Recently, I got an angry letter from a teacher who had taken one of our surveys. The survey portrays a hypothetical student, Jennifer, who had gotten 65% on a math exam. It then asks teachers to tell us how they would treat her. Teachers with a fixed mindset were more than happy to answer our question. They felt that by knowing Jennifer's score, they had a good sense of who she was and what she was capable of. Their recommendation amounted. Mr. Riordan, by contrast, was fuming. Here is what he wrote to whom it may concern. Having completed the educator's portion of yours recent surveys, I must request that my result be excluded from the study. I feel that the study itself is scientifically unsound. Unfortunately, the test uses a faulty premises, asking teachers to make assumptions about a given student based on nothing more than a number of P's. Performance cannot be based on one assessment. You cannot determine the slope of a line given only one point, as there is no line to begin with. A single point in time does not show trend, improvement, lack of effort, or mathematical ability. Sincerely, Michael D. Riordan. It was delighted with Mr. Riordan's critique and could not have agreed with it more. An assessment at one point in time has little value for understanding someone's ability, let alone their potential to succeed in the future. It was disturbing how many teachers thought otherwise, and that was the point of our study. The idea that our one evaluation can measure you forever is what creates the urgency for those with a fixed mindset. That's why they must succeed perfectly and immediately. Who can afford the luxury of trying to grow when everything is on the line right now? Is there another way to judge potential? NASA thought so. When they were soliciting application for astronauts, they rejected people with pure stories of success and instead selected people who had significant failures and bounced back from them. Jack Welch, the celebrated CEO of General Electric, chose executive on the basis of runway, their capacity for growth, and remember Marina Semonova, the famed ballet teacher who chose the students who were energized by criticism. They were all rejecting the idea of fixed ability and selecting instead of instant for mindset, proving you are special.